We'll call to order the regularly scheduled November City Council meeting. Roll call.
Berg.
Here.
Franzvog.
Here.
Hedberg.
Here.
Janser.
Here.
Kosen.
Here.
Lehner.
Here.
Olson.
Here.
Pankow. Padragula.
Here.
Schuler.
Here.
Shimento. Sitma.
Here.
Straight.
Here.
Withus.
Here.
Barney.
Here. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we get to the rest of the agenda, I want to remind everybody on the council and those in the audience, if you have your cell phones with you, to please place them on mute. Thank you. Item number 3.
Mr. Mayor, move 3 and 4.
Second.
Seconded by Janser. Discussion. Call the roll.
Franzvog.
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Janser.
Yes.
Kosen.
Yes.
Lehner.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Padragula.
Yes.
Schuler.
Yes.
Sitma.
Yes.
Straight.
Yes.
Withus.
Yes.
Berg.
Yes.
Motions pass. Item number 5 is resolution adoption and award of bids. Ms. Hemphill, do you want to comment?
Mr. Mayor, we need to have those passed separately.
Okay. Folks on the
Move 5-1.
5-1.
Second.
Seconded by Hedberg. Discussion. Call the roll.
Franzvog.
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Janser.
Yes.
Kosen.
Yes.
Lehner.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Padragula.
Yes.
Schuler.
Yes.
Sitma.
Yes.
Straight.
Yes.
Withus.
Yes.
Berg.
Yes.
Item 5-2.
Move it.
Moved by Hedberg, seconded by Lehner. Discussion. Call the roll.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Janser.
Yes.
Kosen.
Yes.
Lehner.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Padragula.
Yes.
Schuler.
Yes.
Sitma.
Yes.
Straight.
Yes.
Withus.
Yes.
Berg.
Yes.
Franzvog.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item 5-3.
Move the item.
Moved by Lehner, seconded by Withus. Discussion. Call the roll.
Lehner.
Yes.
Olson.
Yes.
Padragula.
Yes.
Schuler.
Yes.
Sitma.
Yes.
Straight.
Yes.
Withus.
Yes.
Berg.
Yes.
Franzvog.
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Janser.
Yes.
Kosen.
Yes.
Motions pass. Item number 6 are personal appearances. This is an opportunity for anybody in the community to address the City Council on any item that is not on tonight's agenda. Anything that is not on tonight's agenda, this is your opportunity. Seeing no one, item number 6 is the mayor's report. I have a number of things I want to address here. The first one is a number of meetings I represented the city at. One was for ND Cares, which is a veterans program that we're working with out at the Air Force Base. We conducted city manager reception and interviews since the last council meeting. I made a welcome speech to the North Dakota Lutheran ministers at the Boys and Girls Ranch on the role of faith-based organizations in a community. Water engineers welcome, United States Army Corps of Engineers meeting, the Community Leadership Institute graduation, and the FEMA presentation and an award, which I want to focus on a little bit. Dana Morton here. Come forward, please, young lady. Dana was the project civil engineer on this and developed the community rating system program for which we were awarded. This program allows the people that are getting flood insurance to get a 5% discount. So the members of the community, come up here, please. I don't want to walk all the way around. I'm an old man. I don't want to walk that far. I want to thank you on behalf of the city and give you one of my coins for all the hard work that you put in to benefit the community. Thank you so much.
on behalf of the city, I'm giving Dana one of our coins also that says provide, protect, empower. And again, thank you very much, Dana. This was something that was very near and dear to our hearts. And I think Representative Lauser's probably not here, but hopefully he's pleased because he really pressed the city to get this done. So we appreciate your hard work.
Thank you. I also, during the last month, I had a number of meetings with Mr. Lance Meyer from the Public Works Department, specifically in regards to customer service and improving the services that we provide to the community. And he told me some steps that he was taking, and I would like him to come forward and reiterate what he told me in some of our meetings for the rest of you, so that you know what we're doing to address some of the concerns that have been expressed here in the last few months. Lance?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, a couple years ago, when things were hot and heavy in the development around the city, we had some trouble trying to get plans reviewed in time and out the door. So we've implemented a few new processes to help speed that up. And one of the things that I've been doing is sitting down with some of our local building community folks, contractors, architects, engineers, and just getting their thoughts on our changes and if we're going in the right direction. And so far the response that I've gotten is that we have gone in the right direction. Things have moved quite a bit faster. They'd still like to see a few improvements, so we're getting the necessary feedback that we need from those folks so that we can dig into our processes and make sure that we can deliver good customer service. Of course, with that, we always talk about our staff and where we may need to make improvements in communication or in processes. So that feedback has been valuable to us, and we'll be able to use that to provide better service to our citizens.
Thank you, Lance. And I want to reiterate, though, that this is the beginning steps of a continuing process of improving the services that we provide to the community. But I wanted to thank Lance for taking the initiative to start the process. The other thing, he's promised me, and I'm going to put him on the spot here, but he's promised he's also going to speak to some of the more critical contractors in the community and get their input as well, because I think that's probably just as important, if not more important. So thank you, Lance, for that. Moving on, I just want to make an announcement. I heard from the Burdick Job Corps that they've got a meeting on Wednesday the 16th that I will not be able to attend from 12 to 1. It's the Community Relations Council, and they asked me if I would mention it during tonight's meeting to make sure all of you are invited to attend. They're trying to find get a very large turnout from the city leadership, because the new operators will be there, and they want to show the community involvement that we've been working toward. I wanted to update you on the Hep C issue. Trinity canceled their meeting with me, and I'm waiting to hear of a rescheduled date and time. In parallel to that, there are some other options that are being considered that hopefully I'll be able to bring to you at next month's meeting. The Sales Tax Committee, I've got names involved. I have not had the opportunity to talk to everybody that is involved with it, but I will have that ready for you next month. And the only other thing I have are my appointments, and I need a motion for those.
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Janser, pardon me?
I'll move your appointments.
Second.
Seconded by Olson. Discussion? Discussion? Call the roll.
Janser,
Yes.
Coulson,
Yes.
Laner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Padragula,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzvog,
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Motion passes. That concludes my report. Item number 8 is the city manager report and interim city manager Cindy Hemphill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have quite a bit today. One of the things that there's many meetings coming up in the next week and month to talk about. Of course, the Gambling Ad Hoc Committee is going to meet on the 9th at 2 p.m. The Mississippi Valley Division Corps of Engineers is going to be in town on the 8th and 9th for a high-level risk assessment of our levee system. They will walk the entire dike system, and Dana, who we just recognized, will be working with them, as will Dan, as need be. Also, on November 9th and 10th in the evening at 6:30, there will be 2 buyout meetings for specific neighborhoods. Those individuals in those neighborhoods have been sent a letter and have been invited. We will have our team of experts in to walk them through the program, how it's going to work. So it's not really a public meeting. It's for the neighbors specifically, but anybody could show up if they want to. Also, the Assiniboine River Basin Initiative is having a meeting at the Minot Holiday Inn November 9th and 10th. I will be doing a presentation and an update, and also the decision support tool, which we are funding with our NDR funds, will be demonstrated at these meetings. The Souris River Joint Board meeting is going to be November 10th at 4 p.m., and that's held up at the auditorium. City offices will be closed on Friday, which is November 11th. In addition, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers will be in town on November 15th and 16th for a design charrette. That'll be held out at Public Works. And then our regular monthly meetings, Planning Commission on November 8th, Finance and Improvements, Airport on the 29th, and then Liquor and Gaming on the 30th. We already talked about this, and again, the big thing here to point out is that being enrolled in the community rating system does give us a 5% discount on flood insurance, and as we move up that ladder, we're at a 9 now, and as we move up it, we will continue to get discounts on our flood insurance for our residents, so we'll continue to work that program. Employee recognition, also I wanted to just make mention that in the last month we had 2 members from the Public Works Department that were awarded Chamber Eagle Awards, and it was Kelly Brandt, who's a utility operator and has been with the city 1 year and 9 months, and Shannon Marmon, who's a laboratory technician who's been with the city 15 years and 5 months. Finance Department, you already approved the bonds, but just so you have a little visibility of what you approved in those resolutions, the Series 2016A was refunding for $755,000. The 2016B was general obligations for $1.755 million, and the C were our water and sewer utility revenue bonds for $4,950,000. Our total outstanding debt now, you can see that, $21 million, $21 million, $30 million, $29 million in lodging tax revenue at $1.8 million. The city's debt level has now risen to over $105 million, something that I think we should all be very aware of as we move next year and take on more projects, because it will increase the debt. And this does reflect the surge dollars and the oil impact money that we've gotten to reduce the debt before we do bond. Other thing to note, which we worked very hard at, considering the slowdown in the economic conditions, is that the city did maintain our AA2 rating, which helps the bond. The interest rates on the bonds, on the refunding bonds, it was a little over 3, and the general obligation bonds were 2.1, and I can't remember them all. The water and sewer utility bonds came in at about 2.3, so the interest rates were still fairly good. NDR update, during one of the committee meetings there was some questions about that, so I felt it was time to give an update to the entire committee, or to the entire council. We are working on our downtown gathering place. Our planning director, chief resiliency officer, Mr. Davis, is looking at various sites in the downtown area. We have a weekly meeting to talk about all of our HUD information, and we'll be talking about that more tomorrow. We've been working with Minot State College on a technical center. Several meetings have been held with MSU, and we're doing internal data gathering, working with job services and the high school on areas where we may need technical expertise, or so that if we have a program that it meets the needs of the community. Buyouts, as I already mentioned, we're going to have 2 neighborhood meetings this week, and then affordable housing, we're still working on our affordable housing study and do still anticipate having that completed by the end of this year. Blighted properties, back sometime after the flood, we did get a North Dakota Housing Finance grant. It was first rebuild and retained, but it changed colors at one point, and now it's a North Dakota State Financing Agency grant, and we've been using those funds to buy blighted properties again. We've purchased 4 in the last couple of weeks, and we've got 4 more in the works. I can't guarantee that we'll be able to follow through with them. Working with the property owners, different things come up that we can't make the purchase, but these will then go on to the demolition list and will be demolished next spring And the funding expires at the end of June of next year, but it is our intent to spend as much of it as possible. We have a little over $1 million left. We did when we started purchasing homes again. Parking structures, another question that has come up recently. Alderman Straight was in and visited with me the other day, and he was asking about our parking structures, and so I dug into it a little bit more so that I could give an update on those from a community development block grant perspective. Community Development Block Grant has 3 national objectives, and you have to meet one of those when you do a project. It's either you benefit low to moderate income, it's an elimination of slums and blight, or it's under urgent needs. Our parking structures were built under urgent needs. The city has fulfilled their CDBG obligation as far as that goes. We have completed the parking structures. They're open. They're available to be used. However, the developers have an obligation that equals the apartments, and they also have substantial completion of the commercial apartments, commercial space. And that date, based on the development agreement that was signed in the leases, is October 6th of 2022. So they still have quite some time to meet their obligations. So there is nothing in default with the parking structures, nothing that we can move on. If we get to 2022 and they haven't met their obligations, then we will go after the developer to see what we can do there, or if we can get a different developer in, but that's quite a ways down the road. Also, there is another substantial completion date, though, because if you'll remember, the developer was in and did get a loan from the city of Minot, and it has a forgivable portion. And so the commercial space has substantial completion dates of November 1st, 2017 for the Renaissance, and November 1st of 2018 for the central parking structure. So that's actually quite a bit sooner than what the substantial completion is on the apartments based on the October 6, 2022 date. Construction update. We'll go right back into the parking structures. The EFS is being installed now on the central parking structure. They will work all through the winter, and the projects are expected to be completed in the summer of 2017. Hazard mitigation grant project. The walls are 100% done. All lanes of traffic are expected to be open tomorrow. Roads in and out of the neighborhood sometime around Thanksgiving, and then the cosmetics will be done in the spring of 2017. That'll be the landscaping and the staining of the concrete walls. Downtown infrastructure project, phase 2 is underway. 2 blocks of the phase 2 are going to be moved to phase 3, North Main Street and First Avenue. And then there's just 3.5 blocks left to open. One of them is, there's 1.5 blocks of Main Street left to pour. This is ongoing this week, and its expected completion is before Thanksgiving. And then there's 90 specialty light poles that are being installed now. As you are all aware, hopefully, 37th Avenue Road expansion is done. I've been out through that intersection, nicely done. Ramstead Access Road is now open also. I think if you listened closely this morning, you could have heard parents cheering as they were able to get their kids to school. Hillcrest Drive, the massive wall panels are complete, and those walls give the homeowners more land and liability. If you'd ever been over in that neighborhood, that wall goes right into several neighbors' backyards, so it's a huge improvement for that neighborhood. And there's minor punch list items that remain there. Minot Public Library, they've been very busy. In October, they had over 894 people participate in 58 different events. They had a Halloween event where they did scary movies. And then on November 15th at 6 o'clock, they're going to present a class on purchasing new technology, timely for the Black Friday coming up. And then children and teens are invited to celebrate the release of the new Harry Potter film November 16th at 2 p.m. There, I went right past it. Minot Recreation, right now this week, we started Region 6 volleyball up there. Scott said that everything was running smoothly. He gave me an update when he came down. Registration for winter adult basketball and volleyball is ongoing, and youth basketball will begin around Thanksgiving. I'll entertain any questions if there are any.
Any questions for Ms. Hemphill?
Thank you.
Thank you. Continuing with reports, City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor and members of council, I submitted a written report with this month's packet, and if there are any questions on that, I would be happy to answer.
Any questions for the City Attorney? Any questions? Thank you. Item number 9 is consider the report of the Planning Commission.
Move 9. Second.
Is that a consent, all items?
Yes, sir.
What this means for those of you in the audience is that all of these items will be passed as they came out of the Planning Commission. If there's anything here that you wish to address separately or consider differently than what came out of planning, this is your opportunity to have that item pulled. Let me know which item you would like to have pulled. Seeing no one.
I have something.
Yes. Which item?
Well, I don't know if it was new. I was kind of late.
Just wait till, she's.
Oh, is she the one you're telling me about?
Yep.
Ma'am, George gave me a heads up. We're going to take care of you under other business, which is
Oh.
at the end of the agenda.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're fine. Okay, thank you. Planning Commission, any other items? Any other discussion? Any discussion? Call the roll.
Franzfog,
Yes.
Hedberg,
Yes.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Laner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pajagula,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withis,
Yes.
Berg.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 10 is consider the report of the Finance and Improvements Committee. Alderman Franzfog.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had 13 items on our agenda. I would move consent agenda on all 13 items. Second.
Pull 4, please.
4. Okay, for those of you in the audience, all these items will be passed except for number 4, as they came out of committee. Is there anybody out there that would like any of these items pulled? Seeing no one, any discussion, any additional items from the council? Call the roll on all items but 4.
Franzfog,
Yes.
Hedberg,
Yes.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Laner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pajagula,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withis,
Yes.
Berg.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 10-4.
That the city council approve the installation of safety features for utility billing and pass on a first reading the necessary budget amendment, moving the funds from cash reserves to utility billing. I would move that item.
Second.
Seconded by Olson. Alderman Pajagula.
Yes. I would ask that this be returned to the committee for further study. We're talking about spending $9,000 on building a 7-foot tall bulletproof glass wall with a little tiny hole to communicate through and a slot to pass information through. I became aware of this fairly recently. I talked with some of the staff there, and I think there are other things we could do and really should do before we rush into a wall. One of the things I'm troubled by, for example, is that there appears to be no systematic training of our staff in customer service issues or in dealing with people whose behavior may be problematic. And it certainly sounds like some of the customers do behave problematically, or people who use the entryway as a refuge of sorts. I'm concerned that the staff aren't trained. I spoke with one employee who said, quote, "We train each other," close quote. I don't believe that's adequate, respectfully. It doesn't appear that staff, support staff, are close enough accessible. Police are accessible, which is very good. I'm very concerned about the message this gives to people. When you walk into City Hall, the first thing you'll see will be a bulletproof screen. This reminds me of some big cities where you have to talk with city employees through a little hole. You can't hear what they're saying. They can't hear what you're saying. Do I think that area needs to be remodeled? Yes, I do. Do I believe that we need some more, perhaps separation? Yeah, probably. But I think rushing into a wall without doing the other things that are going to, I think, help more would be premature and frankly inappropriate. I practice a lot in the field of forensic psychology, and my own prediction is that it actually will inflame people. People are frustrated enough with government. There's enough of a barrier between people and government, or the citizenry and people and government. I think the last thing we need to do is put up a wall. Like I say, if anything, my expertise tells me that this will actually inflame the situation. So I would ask that we send this back to committee to have them look at it. I was in Bismarck over the weekend. I had the chance to see their county offices. There was nothing like that. There were open, accessible counters. I didn't get a chance to see what their facilities are like for paying bills, and I don't know what they are in the other big cities, but I think that's an important consideration. I personally would be very turned off by having to deal with a city employee to pay my water bill through a bulletproof glass screen. So, that may ultimately be part of the solution, maybe some sort of better barrier, but I don't like the idea of putting our people behind a cage. I don't think we've served them well by not giving them the training they need to deal with people whose behavior may be problematic sometimes. So I would move to be sent back.
Pajagula, was that a motion to send it
Yes.
back to committee?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, further discussion? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I
just
understand that.
wanted to.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Further discussion on the motion to send it back to committee? Further discussion, anybody in the audience care to comment? Motion on the floor is superseding to the initial motion, so we will vote on the motion to send it back to committee. Call the roll?
Pajagula,
Yes.
Schuler,
No.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus.
No.
Berg,
No.
Franzvog,
No.
Hedberg,
Yes.
Janser,
No.
Cosin,
Yes.
Laner,
No.
Olson,
No.
and Barney. Is it 7?
7 to
Oh,
5,
5. Sorry.
right? A motion fails, we're back to the original motion. Discussion on the original motion. Discussion on the original motion. Anybody in the audience care to comment on the original motion on the floor to fund this screen? Call the roll?
Franzvog,
Yes.
Hedberg,
No.
Janser,
No.
Cosin,
No.
Laner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pajagula,
No.
Schuler,
No.
Sitma,
No.
Straight,
No.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg.
No.
What is it?
Fails.
Motion
There's-
fails. Alderman Francois?
That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Item number 11 is consider the report of the Public Works and Safety Committee. Alderman Schuler?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had 9 items on our agenda. I would move consent on all 9 items.
Second.
Seconded by Janser, moved by Schuler, seconded by Janser. Again, this means all the items will be passed as they came out of committee. There's 9 items. Anybody in the audience or on the council wish to have any of these items pulled? Any items to be pulled? Call the roll.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzvog,
Yes.
Hedberg,
Yes.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Laner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pajagula.
Yes.
Motion passes.
That concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Schuler. Item number 12 is consider the report of the Liquor and Gambling Control Committee. Alderman Hedberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We had 7 items on our agenda. I would move consent on all 7 items.
Second.
Seconded by Withus. Discussion, anybody in the audience care to have any of these items pulled? Anybody on the council? Call the roll.
Hedberg,
Yes.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Laner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pajagula,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzvog.
Yes.
Motion passes. Alderman.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, Alderman Hedberg. Item number 13 is consider the report of the Change in Government Committee. Alderman Janser.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our committee met and developed the recommendations which are contained in the ordinances and the 2 resolutions. I would move consent on those items.
Second.
Seconded by Hedberg.
Pull 1.
Pull 1? Yeah, thank you.
Pull
I was going
4.
to ask that for myself. Items 2, 3, and 4.
Pull 4, please.
Pull 4. Items 2 and 3. Anybody in the audience care to have either items 2 or 3 pulled for discussion? Was that a yes? No. Okay, sorry. Seeing no one, call the roll on items 13-2 and 3.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Laner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Pajagula,
Yes.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzvog,
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Motion passes. Item number 13-1,
Mr. Mayor, I'd move the item.
Second?
seconded by Hedberg. I know Alderman Sitma asked to pull it, but I'm going to give my opinion, and then, and my opinion is very brief. It concerns two elements of this that I don't agree with, and it's in the words of my good friend and former Alderman Hatlett, it's not a hill I want to die on, but it's something I feel compelled to at least express my opinion, and that is on the compensation of the alderman and mayor. The increase I don't think is warranted, and it's in my humble opinion that if somebody is considering running for alderman and this is the reason why they're going to do it, then I probably don't want them to represent me. I think that the pay is should not be your primary motivation to serve the community, and I think that the compensation is adequate, but that's my humble opinion. Alderman Sitma.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and many of those words are exactly what I was going to reiterate, and I also want to send out my appreciation to all of the people that served on that committee. There was a lot of work done in a very quick manner and was done very efficiently. So with that, I would actually offer up an amendment to the motion to replace those compensations with the current pay schedule that is on our books.
Is there a second to the amendment? Seconded by Francois. Discussion on the amendment only. Discussion? Discussion? Anybody in the audience care to comment on this issue? Any further discussion? Call the roll on the amendment.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzfeld,
Yes.
Hedberg,
Yes.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Lehner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Padragula,
No.
Schuler.
Yes.
The excuse me, the motion is now amended. Discussion on the amended motion. Discussion on the amended motion. Any discussion? Call the roll. Sorry.
Janser,
Yes.
Cosin,
Yes.
Lehner,
Yes.
Olson, Padragula,
No.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withus,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzfeld,
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Motion passes. 13-4, Alderman Janser,
Mr. Mayor, I move 4.
Second.
seconded by, I'm sorry, Straight?
Straight.
Thank you. Alderman Padragula, did you care to comment on this motion?
Yes.
Well, you pulled it, so I'm
Yes,
assuming.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I have some concerns here in terms of the committee of the whole process, and I think the general outcome here. I don't see it, although I see it as somewhat of an improvement, I don't see it quite as being responsive enough to the call for reform in city government. Some of the things I'm concerned about, for example, are the fact that there's no section for personal appearances on the order of business for the committee of the whole. It never explicitly states that citizen input is allowed or encouraged either on the committee of the whole or in the council. I think it's understood, but I'd feel more comfortable if it said that. Part of the reason I'm so concerned about some of these things, they may seem minor, is that we're really shrinking the size of the council. And I think with fewer voices, it's very important that we allow all voices to be heard and we allow adequate time for debate. For example, I noticed that we're still limiting people to speaking twice on any item of business apart from leave of the chair. We're still limiting people to 5 minutes. I don't see how, on a topic, I don't see how you can have a committee of whole discussion if you're limited to 5 minutes. I'm concerned, I think, in particular, again, about the openness of the process. I think one of the other aldermen had mentioned concerns earlier that about this issue of having all mayoral appointments approved, and it's not clear to me when I read number 8 of the proposal whether that really is what it says. It kind of implies it, but I feel more comfortable with that explicitly that all mayoral appointments need to be approved. What else? I think those, there's also the issue of participation electronically. I don't know if that's ever explicitly addressed. Again, if we have 7 people on the governing board, if we're missing one or two of them, it's going to be an issue. We may not have a quorum at times. With 14, if we're missing 1 or 2, that's not that big a deal. So I'd like to see the issue of electronic participation, included somehow explicitly. I think there's also a shortcoming in item number 2 where it says agenda items may be placed on the agenda by the mayor, council members, or department heads. I think it should obviously include the city manager. So I think there's some housekeeping things that need to be done there. I'm also concerned on number 3 that we're calling for unanimous consent to talk about any items in the committee of the whole that are not listed on the agenda. I think that's part of the purpose of the committee of the whole, so we can function more informally and we can discuss and perhaps start dealing with issues that come up. I agree they should be deferred until a formal council meeting for major action, but I think that binds the committee of the whole process a bit. So I think there needs to be some fine-tuning on some of these points. It's a step in the right direction, but it doesn't quite get there, I think, from my perspective.
Alderman Lehner?
Well, and Alderman Padragula was probably one of the few people in the whole city that attended almost every one of the meetings that we had, but one of the things that came out in those meetings, we know we're transitioning from 14 members on the council to 6 members on the council plus the mayor. And one thing we didn't want to do is basically hamstring the new council. We wanted to leave it open enough so that they would have the flexibility to function in a new manner because it's going to be a new council. And I think possibly by doing all the things that Alderman Padragula thinks should be done, I think we're dealing in the minutia. And I think a lot of those things, as the new council, starting in July, starts moving along, that they can establish some of those rules and regulations as it seems fit to apply to what they're doing at the time. We didn't want to basically hamstring them and stuff, and that was one of the reasons that we left it a little bit open like that. But I think, and as far as one of the sticking points seemed to be the mayoral appointments, but I believe that was implied succinctly enough in the resolution to take care of that. Just my thought.
Further discussion? Further discussion? Anybody in the audience? Further discussion? Call the roll.
Janser,
Yes.
Coulson,
Yes.
Lehner,
Yes.
Olson,
Yes.
Padragula,
No.
Schuler,
Yes.
Sitma,
Yes.
Straight,
Yes.
Withers,
Yes.
Berg,
Yes.
Franzfog,
Yes.
Hedberg.
Yes.
Motion carries. That concludes your report, President Janser.
It does indeed.
Thank you,
Mayor.
sir. Thank you to the committee for that work. I wanted to pass on my thanks as well. You served us well, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 14 is other business. Item number 1 has been pulled, but we have some guests in the audience who would like to address us on, I believe, parks. That's all right. That's all right. It puts me to sleep too, trust me.
Charlotte.
I live down by the library, just down the street here. I live off of 7th Street and 1st Avenue. You guys have torn down a bunch of houses in my neighborhood, and there's a lot of green space going on. And I was wondering what you guys plan on doing with that area.
Ms. Hemphill, do you have any input on this?
Mr. Mayor, on the homes that we have torn down, the footprint of the flood control project will be placed there eventually. Construction of the first 3 phases is hoped to begin next year, and during that time frame, when they're done, there may be the ability to have some green space and different things like that, but till that construction is done, it will be just green space for now. But whether we can weave it into a riverfront walkway when everything is completed, there is that potential. We'll look forward to that as we move forward.
Okay. I would really appreciate a park in that area. There used to be a school. Lincoln School used to be in that area. It's been torn down, obviously. And that area, I understand, is still owned by Minot Public Schools. Do they plan on doing anything with that area besides a mud pit right now?
Mr.
I'll
Mayor,
take
if I
care
may.
of that. That's a great question, and unfortunately, this body has no influence over the school board.
Mr. Mayor, we should start negotiations to purchase that property from the school district.
So if you want to call them and tell them what a great idea this is and how they should sell it to us cheap, we would be very grateful. Okay?
I can see what I can do.
Right.
There's
Tell
a
'em
lot
Barney
of kids that
sent ya.
live just in my one block.
Okay.
But yes, I think we desperately need a park somewhere in our area. Since the school used to be there, so
Yeah.
a park used to be, or a playground used to be within walking distance for many of the children in our area, I think it would be beneficial for a lot of parents
I
and
agree.
children.
Good.
So I'll see what I can do with the school board.
All right, good luck. And thank you for coming forward tonight.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor? If
Alderman
I-
Sitma?
If I may just extend, many people don't know about this hidden little park called Riverside Park that is not too far from where you live. It is across a busy highway, but that is always an option. I know it's not very well attended, seeing as it's in my backyard.
So the party's at Sitma's. All right, that concludes number 14. Item number 15 is adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Laner, seconded by Withus. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We're adjourned.